We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show, episode 397. I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week is the OG Undisputed Scholar himself and the current reigning, defending, undisputed Scholars of Wrestling champion. You know him. You love him. He is the one and only Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, how is your evening going, sir?
My evening is going very well. It has been a long day, a long week. So much, well, a good amount of stuff is happening in wrestling. I've been thinking about like the whole reigning and defending. I feel like now it's like, okay, now that I've actually successfully defended the championship, now I could be reigning, defending, undisputed Scholars of Wrestling heavyweight champion of the world. Me. So yeah, now I could actually.
So my introduction meets with your approval, then.
Very much so. Thank you. You get a golf clap.
Delightful golf clap for me. Hallelujah.
Very good for you. You just pat yourself on the back there. Yeah,
Indeed, I shall. Indeed, I shall.
It's good. It's good. Good. So
good to know.
Self-confidence is very good.
I have the approval of the champ. Life is good. But life is good elsewhere. Me. Yes, I have acknowledged my podcast chief. But yes, there's lots of other good things to acknowledge in the world of professional wrestling. And we're going to get to them all, kicking things off with a little bit of backstage news.
Indeed, we start the show as we always do, is peeking behind that curtain and just seeing what the world of professional wrestling has to offer us with a little bit of backstage news.
Not sure if I was kicking that one off or not. Meh. But yes, it is backstage news time. And one of the bigger bits of backstage news, that seems to have fallen through the cracks compared to some of the other goings on in the world of professional wrestling. We got the announcement that Survivor Series is going to be War Games. Yes, right. Instead of the traditional,
you gotta go Regal.
I can't go Regal. What? There's only one Regal. War Games.
There it is.
Did I do a good thing?
You did a very good thing. You go ahead, pat yourself on the shoulder again.
All right, that's another one on the shoulder for me. Delightful.
Yay.
But yes, no matter how you slice it, no matter whose voice you do it in, we've got War Games matches taking the place of a traditional Survivor Series match. And I don't know about you, Fool, but I feel like this is absolutely the bit of freshness that Survivor Series has needed for quite a long time.
The one real positive thing that I can really say about this announcement of War Games at Survivor Series is it's not about brand supremacy. No one's ever really given a shit about brand supremacy of Raw, SmackDown, once NXT.
At least not since the Ruthless Aggression era, when the first brand split actually first took place.
No, that they had bragging rights for that one. And once bragging rights disappeared, that's when they started, hey, let's just have Survivor Series be a Raw versus SmackDown type of pay-per-view. Let's put the bragging rights there and just make Survivor Series even more less important, to the point where everyone was just like, you know what? Let's just take Survivor Series off the top five, off the main 5 pay-per-views. Let's just throw it down to a B1, because that's just how much they don't really care. Story progress means absolutely nothing for this pay-per-view. All it is my brand is better than yours. No, it's not. Our brand is better than yours. Your brand sucks. Our brand is better. Yeah? Well, let's prove it in the ring. Yeah, we will prove it in the ring. In a 5-on-5 Survivor Series. Yeah.
Shampoo is better. I go on first and clean the hair.
Yeah, I kind of went into that voice, didn't I?
Conditioner is better.
I make the hair silky and smooth.
Oh, really? Fool? Really? And that's how a Survivor Series is born, that little Jimmy. Now go to school.
Stop looking at me, Swan. But yeah, back to what I'm glad
Kids
that
don't know the classics.
no, they just have whatever movies Adam Sandler has on Netflix. But that's a whole different discussion. Uh, but yeah, I'm very relieved now that they're doing something different with Survivor Series. Will I miss the actual traditional 5-on-5 elimination match? Yeah, I guess. I don't I wouldn't actually mind if they actually threw like a Survivor Series traditional one for like the lower card talent and just
That's
have
an
war
that
games
is
be
an
for a main event.
interesting. Yeah, that is an interesting take. I wouldn't mind that at all.
And
Frankly, when I thought of the War Games match, only one thing popped in my mind. It's going
who
to
is the
be
bloodline facing?
exactly that was going to be my Scholars Quick Talk. It's got to be the Bloodline versus inserts names here. Like, since it's
That's
out
actually
there now, who do you think?
who faces the bloodline?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The only the only names I can think of, just I can only think of two: Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre, because they'll probably have Roman, Usos, Sikoa, and Sami Zayn. Now that he's been officially named an honorary Us on tonight's episode of SmackDown, which is apparently the only real big thing that came out of this episode of SmackDown,
For the most part.
other than the one topic that we'll discuss later.
Oh yes.
Um, but yeah, the only two, maybe Braun as a third person. Uh, Shinsuke, because he had a temporary feud with Roman Reigns for like a blink of an eye. How many is
Yeah.
that? 4? Uh,
Out. I didn't even get that far with my prediction.
and then probably just Matt Riddle if Randy Orton isn't back. If Randy Orton is back, I'll probably take out Shinsuke and just have Orton and Riddle, Braun, Owens, and Drew McIntyre. If they're actually planning on doing it as a 5-on-5.
Yeah, truthfully, I didn't even get that far. Like I said, I really just
Hey, I
was
just thought of
thinking
this at the
who's
top of my head,
hey,
honestly.
it's more than what I had. I was just thinking, okay, it's probably gonna be a team led by Kevin Owens and maybe Drew McIntyre and just a bunch of the faces, do it that way. But really, the only other thought I had was again something we'll probably end up getting to later. It's a bit of a crack idea, but hey, it's still an idea. But again, we'll get to that in just a moment. But before we get to all that, we do have quite the loaded week from AEW. It's their big Grand Slam show, almost in our own backyard, right in Brooklyn. And there was a lot of really interesting developments here, least of which was the thing that kicked off the show, which I gotta ask you your opinion on the first match. We've got a new Ring of Honor champion in Chris Jericho beating Claudio Castagnoli. What happened here?
My heart was broken. That's what happened here. Um, from what people have been saying online, and what is most likely the case, is that they wanted to put the belt on Chris Jericho as a way to ease out the Ring of Honor TV deal that's in progress.
Hmm.
And similar to what they did with Chris Jericho when AEW first started, have him be the first champion, having him as Ring of Honor champion to help get solidify a TV deal. To be fair, is kind of the better option because Jericho is is the bigger name compared to Claudio. So unfortunately, it makes sense. Although I just would never expect the day to see Chris Jericho be Ring of Honor champion in 2022.
I don't
But
think anyone did.
uh although there is just talks of having it be as additional factor to him versus Daniel Garcia, and possibly a champion versus champion unification match with the pure Ring of Honor Pure Championship.
Very interesting.
That is an interesting idea.
I'm not sure how I feel about unifying the world title and pure titles, but that a dynamic alone of just Jericho versus Daniel Garcia, if they really want to put him over and make him a big star, that is certainly one way to do it. But I find it interesting that in the immediate aftermath, one of the biggest reactions I saw from one person on Twitter was just like, why in the world is Chris Jericho, of all people, Ring of Honor champion? Why? And I'm just looking at him like, dude, that reaction alone is why they're doing it. Because he's going to be one of the best, not only one of the biggest stars that Ring of Honor has seen going into it, but also he's also going to be one of the biggest heels, the biggest villains to Ring of Honor that they've had in years. Even to his initial victory, he distracted the ref, he won without honor. That is a deliberate spit in the face of everything Ring of Honor is, and Tony Khan and team damn well know it. So I'm really looking forward to what's next. I am also hoping that this is also an indicator that a Ring of Honor TV deal or streaming deal or something, a regular show, is on the horizon.
Yeah. And like I said, him being champion is one of the big sweetening of the deal. Because, yeah, like I said, Jericho being the bigger name obviously means more viewers.
Oh, yes. If they're going to get started with a new TV deal, that'll bring new, fresh eyes to it when they find out that Chris Jericho is a part of it. Definitely great use of assets. But speaking of great use of assets, pun fully intended, we finally have new tag champs in the Acclaimed, Scissor Me, Daddy Ass, etc., etc. It's a real shirt. We are back in the Attitude Era, and I am most enjoying it.
So, the people at Wrestle Talk actually pointed out this simple fact of the Famouser is just Billy Gunn scissoring his legs over someone's head. So it's like, you know what? For this gimmick now, for Scissor Me, Daddy Ass, I'll accept it. I think that's actually a funny little plug there.
I'm not totally sold. I feel like that's more of an X-Pac Bronco Buster thing. But it's just like, you know what? Singing Scissor Me Daddy Ass is just a fun thing to say. And frankly, after the clinic that's the Acclaimed pulled up last time, they're over. They're talented. They are good wrestlers. They put on exciting matches. I thought they did great. And I think this is well deserved.
Now give FTR their tag title shot.
I think, honestly, I feel like FTR are like Teflon at this point. Like, they're just going to keep getting belts, and then eventually it's not a matter of if, but when.
They've been number one. They've been number one in the ranking, which apparently is now slowly becoming irrelevant since it's rarely brought up now. But they've been number one on that ranking system for a long time.
Oh yeah,
give them the damn title shots, man. Add more gold to their. Add more gold.
Yeah, it's not a matter of if, but when. So I'm not worried about a single thing. I think they're going to do great. But elsewhere, we also have a new champion. Jon Moxley is the AEW champion once again, the three-peat. And I'll just pitch it over to you. Were you surprised by this outcome, or was it just what you expected?
What this does is really solidified my thing is no matter who's winning, MJF is going to win that belt off him. Probably at full
for sure. For sure.
It's just a question on which one of them are you willing to give the transitional championship reign to? And at this point, it just makes sense that it's Mox. I mean, shit. If you have someone like Bryan Danielson just having his first title reign as a transitional champion, it makes more sense with Moxley doing it. And which would finally give him his well-needed time off to spend with his family. I mean, Jesus. He should have been on a vacation already.
Yeah, this absolutely makes sense. As much as a part of me wanted to see Bryan Danielson get his due, I really feel like at least how Jon Moxley has really stepped up for AEW in the void that CM Punk left behind, and the Elite as well. He's really shown himself to be a real MVP of this company. And if nothing else, he'll given that extra little notch in his belt saying that, yeah, first ever 3-time AEW champion, let's go. And again, it's a foregone conclusion at this point that whoever has it, it's going to go to MJF before the end of the year, sooner rather than later.
So it definitely makes more sense to have Moxley do it over Danielson. Like I said, you don't want Danielson's first title reign to be a transitional champion.
Even if it was,
in my opinion,
still a good couple months. I'm sorry, go on.
In my opinion, he's the perfect candidate to actually take the title off MJF when that title reign has its nice lengthy run.
He's a possibility, but frankly, at this point, I'm not sure who that person is going to be to take the belt off of MJF.
For me, it's either Danielson or Wardlow.
Wardlow, I think it depends entirely on how they build him up over the next, say, 6 months or so. I don't feel he's certainly a possibility again, but I just don't feel like he's quite ready yet. He's still a little bit raw and needs a little bit more build before you can really put him there. I will say that I do feel like there needs to be a new main eventer. Someone new that they can really build up. And really only a couple names come to mind. I'm thinking maybe Darby Allin is a possibility. I'm thinking that now that they lost the tag titles, maybe Keith Lee could be pushed up to the next level. He's a possibility. Again, Wardlow, if built up properly, they can reignite that feud again. I don't know who else. What are some other names you can see challenging MJF for the title?
Literally everyone in Blackpool Combat Club,
including Wheeler Yuta. Claudio, I can see absolutely, but Wheeler Yuta, I don't know. He seems like
Yuta would be of Blackpool Combat Club. Yuta would be the first one. If it's ranking wise, Wheeler Yuta would definitely be the first one. I mean, he just had a segment with MJF this past week. I think they're actually facing each other next week on Dynamite, correct?
That part I didn't catch. But
there is interaction between there was interaction between the two, and because of Blackpool Combat Club history with MJF now, once he takes the title off Moxley, it's just a matter of time. It's like, oh, here come the rest of the members to stand up for their fallen comrade of Mox. Let's see who else.
Depending on if Miro ends up sticking around, maybe he could be that sort of mega face that can breeze through the firm and just make his way to MJF.
I would love to see that. I just don't know if they'll actually give him the belt as much as I wanted to see Miro with the belt.
Well,
I think he would be a great champion.
I feel like he'd probably be a more convincing challenger than the other name that's popping into my mind that I know you're not going to like.
I knew it.
Eddie Kingston.
Hard pass. That man is not. I don't want him anywhere near that belt. He is not. I don't think he'll ever be worthy of that belt.
If not the AEW Championship, then at least the TNT Championship. He needs some sort of belt before he calls it a career.
Sure. Why? The title already means absolutely nothing now.
Hey, if nothing else, maybe you can make it worth something.
Okay.
Hey.
All he needs to do is just do what JBL did with the Hardcore Championship and just put a New York license plate on it. Yeah, he's one of those guys.
I can see that.
Or that's actually not meant to be a positive thing.
Or better yet, Danhausen. How about that?
As TNT champion?
No, AEW champion. What do you think?
No, on either account.
Okay. Last one from me, and this is only moderately more serious. Could you see Orange Cassidy challenging or possibly winning the title over MJF? Could that potentially happen?
Challenge? Sure. Win it? Mm-mm.
As much as I'd love to see someone like that really just step up to the next level and have a great match, like didn't MJF have a really good technical match with Orange Cassidy?
He did. If I were to see Orange Cassidy win a championship, it'll probably be either the tag championship or the trios championship. I love Orange Cassidy. He's the sunlight to my doodles. But
I totally forgot that was a thing.
I will never forget it's a thing. Because it's my doodles. But I honestly don't see him with a singles championship.
Well,
let you know how his oh wait, he already had his match with Pac. But I believe a rematch is in talks, so still
they can reignite that kind of thing anytime they need to. Let's be real. But speaking of getting real, I don't know what kind of segue that is, but we did get the return of Saraya, aka the former Paige from WWE.
Paige, yeah.
They signed her. She walked around the ring, soaked it in, didn't do much. Apparently, some people are speculating that she was not cleared to wrestle. Apparently, Saraya went on social media and said, "Don't believe everything you see. See you on Wednesday." And that's all we get. What's going on with Saraya?
She looks good. She looks good.
Is she going to? She does look good. She does. But I'm just wondering at this point, what is her role going to be? Is she actually going to wrestle, or are the rumors true? And is she going to be a manager again?
From what I've been hearing, from all the posts that she does, she wants to wrestle. She is willing to just keep going to make sure she can get back in that ring as soon as possible. I just hope it's like apparent. I could see her doing like multi-man match or multi-women matches, multi-person matches, at least to get it started, clear off any rust that she may have. I mean, come on, she hasn't been in the ring since. When was that injury she had at that house show with Sasha Banks? 2018?
That sounds about right. I'd say at least 3 years ago.
So, and hopefully, and see that she can actually, can go without re-injuring herself. And and when I'm saying that she looks good, I'm not just talking about her looks. I mean, she's very beautiful, but I just remember all the times where she looked kind of sickly, like with just with the stress she's been having. She looks like she is She looks healthy. She looks like she just wants to get back in the ring. And if she actually can go, put her in like multi-person matches just to see if her body can take it. I mean, hell, she's 31. And yes, it was a excuse me, it was a serious neck injury. But if Edge and Danielson can go, why not her?
Why not indeed?
At least
There's
give
an
it at
old
least give it a
saying.
try.
Yeah, there's an old saying I heard a long time ago. It's better than to break a man's leg than break his heart. And I feel like that saying, regardless of gender, does apply to someone like Saraya. Someone who absolutely loves wrestling, was built by it, molded by it, at the risk of sounding like Bane here. I can see that passion and that focus and that direction that someone like Paige, Soraya, whatever, that someone like her needs to keep on going, no matter what
Mhm.
she's doing, around how hurt she is or was. Because I'm still convinced to this day that all we saw from her last days in WWE were more just like a freak occurrence. They were accidents that could have happened to virtually anybody. So I
Mhm.
don't blame anybody in particular, her
Oh, I
or
don't either.
Sasha or whoever.
Mm-mm.
I think with WWE is definitely more of a liability thing.
Yeah.
But with modern medicine and just new perspectives and the drive that I'm sure she has now,
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
with you. Let's get her in there. Let's break her in slowly without breaking her, and let's see where this all goes. Question is, who does she face first?
Well, it looks like she's going after Britt Baker. So Soraya versus Britt Baker. Okay.
Hmm.
But it's also I'm not really that confident in Tony Khan putting that much focus on the women's division. Just from seeing just how the women's division has been presented the last couple of years.
I can see what you mean, but then again, I'm also wondering if that's totally the case and is intentional on Tony Khan's part. Why'd he even bother hiring Soraya in the first place and making a big deal of her return? I
For a
am getting.
rating.
I don't know. I have to say that someone who's paying out Soraya what she deserves to be paid, I've got to believe that they've got a greater deal for her in mind because of this, especially if we're talking post CM Punk. I've got to believe that he's not in the business of just wasting money just for to pop a rating one time. I've got to believe that they want her rather to do something substantial, something of note. And that thing of note, I believe, is this could be the attempt to reinvigorate the women's division, especially since another champion was injured and they're trying to like pick up pieces of this. I got the real distinct impression that the hiring of Soraya was Tony Khan's latest bid to elevate the women's division, for better or for worse.
I'm
Do
going
you
to
think
take
he
one out of your
succeeded?
book. I'm going to take one out of your book. I'll believe it when I see it.
That is fair. I know a
Because
lot of people have been less than satisfied with the state of the women's division.
at least particularly in AEW. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, hell, one, rarely if any, barely two matches a week. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
only
definitely
like
room for improvement.
and it's only like within like the 15-minute time period. They need to do more with this. And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully I hope you're right. But like you said in the past, I'll believe it when I see it.
Very fair. But speaking of believe it when I see it, there was another believe it when I see it moment that I admit I read the spoilers. I heard what had happened towards the end of the night on Full Gear Rampage. And nowhere did I believe that of all people, they were going to get the great Muda on Rampage, help
I
coming to save Sting and help him out. spitting the green mist in Buddy Matthews' eyes. That was something I never thought I'd see, but damn, I'm a Muta fan. I'm glad I saw it.
Hopefully, this won't just solidify the true end of the House of Black on AEW.
I don't think it will, to be frank. I think this just I think they're gonna keep this feud going for a little while. And if they don't have a tag match introduce and just throwing the Great Muta in a tag match on Full Gear, maybe we'll have a 6-man tag or something, or just a regular tag on a random Dynamite, and pop that rating. That I can see being a more of a one time. Oh yeah, you get to see the Great Muta in 2022 on American television. That's the kind of more of a pop ratings kind of move I can see Tony Khan doing.
I could see that going on a Full Gear Rampage. Because
Now,
I wouldn't see it going on the actual main card.
You don't see the Great Muta going on a main card on a Dynamite?
I mean, like if they're saving that for like a Full Gear time, I could see them doing it on the Full Gear Rampage, but that on the main show of that. Saying. Oh, wait, it would definitely show up on Dynamite. Okay. If it was just a Dynamite thing, absolutely. But if they're saving it for like the pay-per-view show, they would probably have it be on the Rampage side than on the actual main show. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That does make more sense. But speaking of things making sense or lack thereof, I think it's high time we address the elephant in the room, or more accurately, the rabbit in the room. Because in case you haven't been following, there's been all these vignettes, all these hints about something having to do with a white rabbit and feeding your head, and all these cryptic hints that everyone seems to think, including me, that's got something to do with Bray Wyatt. First, there was the songs played during the live events. Then we got a QR code that led to something about 9/23, which everyone was hoping, myself included, that we were going to get some sort of new return from Bray Wyatt. And what we got instead tonight was another QR code with a game where once you beat the game, it gave you coordinates. Those coordinates led you to an arena in Canada, which is where next week's Raw is going to be. Which I'm assuming.
Did you play the game?
I did play the game. Both me and my wife both played the game. It's a very simple, like little flash game.
Oh yeah, I played the game too. It was just like,
it's a neat little thing, and I love alternate reality games. So this really tickled my balls. I love it. But really, I'm like, okay, how long is this going to go on? Are we going to see just another QR code? Are we going to actually get a Bray Wyatt's appearance at some point? Is it going to happen as Extreme Rules? Is it someone else going to show up? So many different possibilities. Cool. I gotta say, what do you think?
I'm hoping this is Uncle Bray prepping for his Uncle Bray's return. I like the subtle hints throughout the shows that they go with this. The Hangman one on Raw in particular. First, the spelling out demon, trying to fill out the Hangman words. And one person on Reddit pointed out that the leg that was left on the Hangman was the same leg that Alexa Bliss focused on during her match with Bayley. It's like subtle hint that we get the QR code for the Flash game, which is, it was a little cute, fun game.
And speaking of Alexa Bliss and Bayley, we did get a brief lights out for a second there during
Mm-hmm.
their match.
Yeah.
Coincidence? I think not.
So yeah, I'm hoping that this is for Uncle Bray return. Uh, I they've had pictures of prepping for his in-ring return.
Mm-hmm.
The question on now is just what is the White Rabbit going to be in part of his character? Is it going to be an updated mask for like a updated fiend-esque mask, or is this just the evolved form of Rambling Rabbit? Like how is this going to connect with his character? Is this going to be just something brand new, has nothing to do with the Fiend or Firefly Funhouse? It's going to be like a like his entrance is going to be like a Darby Allin-esque animated entrance, and it's just going to be just a scarier version of that because of just the craziness that's in Wyndham Rotunda's head. I don't know.
I don't know either. Again, given who we're talking about here, we could get virtually anything. But I am willing to put my money behind Fiend 2.0. Like
I
maybe they'll
can't wait for
all
his movie.
maybe we're not going to be doing like the same kind of Firefly Funhouse thing, at least not the same exact way. But I can see him doing like maybe revisiting, since we're talking about White Rabbit stuff, maybe we'll be revisiting like some Alice in Wonderland kind of imagery where we take
Mm-hmm.
sort of the next logical progression after the cult leader Bray and the Firefly Funhouse Bray, sort of mashing the two together into, okay, welcome to my headspace. You're gonna follow the White Rabbit. You will have your head fed, and everyone is going to pay for their sins at one point or another. And the Fiend is going to do it.
It's
The
going to be a
new
demented.
evolved Fiend.
There's going to be a new demented White Rabbit lantern instead of Bray's head.
Hmm. Or maybe he's got some sort of new enforcer who's just like dresses up in a rabbit mask, a la the bunny in AEW. Knowing Bray Wyatt, he can come up with so many different wild things. I'm just like, as long as I know I'm going to see Bray Wyatt and Bray Wyatt is coming back, I'm in for the ride.
That will be it's going to be a huge win when his return happens. I missed him so much.
So do I. There's a definite void that has not been able to be replicated yet. But that being said, I will lead it up to my final Scholars Quick Talk for the evening, and that is simply, when do we finally see Bray Wyatt return to WWE in full?
I'm going to say probably at Extreme Rules.
I'm going to say the same. Like, if they're going to be building it up this much, I wouldn't want to let it go for too long,
Mm-hmm.
especially since we're talking about someone who can move merch, is technically already doing so because they're already selling White Rabbit shirts on WWE Shop.
Yep. Yeah.
So I've got to believe that if they're not going to be doing it on a random Raw or a SmackDown, if the poster hints are to be believed, it very well could be Extreme Rules, and so they can sort of do the world build, do the character stuff, and then eventually leading him up to his first major feud match at Survivor Series. That's what I hope, anyway. What say you? And I think we may have lost Tarek. Uh-oh, we have a disconnect. That's not good. Well, we've heard most of it from us. Let's see real quick if we can get Tarek back to give his final thoughts. Give him just a moment. Doesn't look like That's a bummer. Well, you already got our thoughts. You can check us all out on our social media all across the internet. You can check us out at all of us at our link tree in the description of this video or this audio, depending on where you get your podcasts. And of course, if you want to drop us a line, leave us a line all across the internet in any comment section you can, wherever you are. We want to hear from you, or you can join the conversation on Twitter. You can follow me at I'm Robbie Rage. You can find Scholar Tarek at the Avatar. Join in the conversation, join the speculation, and Tarek Awar is back in the room. Let's get him to re-sign. And Tarek, you back?
I'm back. Always be sure to plug in your laptop so the battery doesn't die.
Yeah, I was in the middle of doing the closeouts. Once more for posterity, I'm introducing everybody to join in the conversation. Where can they reach you on social media?
You can reach me, the Scholars of Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, at the Avatar. And again, make sure your laptop is plugged in so you don't have crappy moments like that again.
Indeed. And once again, if you have a crappy laptop, join in the conversation with me too at I'm Robbie Rage. We'd like to talk about wrestling, but we can talk about crappy laptops and not plugging them in and other sort of flotsam, because the wrestling world is full of it. You already know that we're going to talk about that because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
See you all next week, and follow the White Rabbit.